Deeptika Laurent, who's here to take us through today's newspapers. Deepti, you're starting with a shocking report from the French investigative website Mediapart.
That's right. Mediapart brings us this report today, really with very unbelievable revelations. They accuse Paris Saint-Germain, the football club led by the Qatari Nasser Al-Khelaifi, of hiring a digital troll army to carry out smear attacks against anyone who dared criticize the club. The troll attacks were led against media organizations like Mediapart, for example, but also sought to discredit, in one case, a woman who accused their star player Neymar of rape. These agencies, these digital troll armies, even attacked PSG's star player Kylian Mbappe when there were rumors that he wanted to leave the club. Now, PSG allegedly hired an external company to create this army of fake Twitter accounts, even if no formal contract was signed. PSG, for its part, has completely denied the allegations, Alison, but it is the focus of some of the opinion pages today, in particular an editorial from the French sports paper L'Equipe says it was attacked. The publication L'Equipe was attacked by this PSG digital troll army on two occasions, pertaining to two front pages published in 2018. One which reported on an investigation involving match fixing and the club, and the second one on the risks for PSG if Kylian Mbappe and Neymar had to leave the club because their salaries violated the financial fair play rules of football clubs. The paper of L'Equipe and its editor personally were insulted on Twitter, even receiving threats. The paper says these allegations just tarnish further the image of Qatar, which owns PSG, just weeks before an already controversial World Cup.
Yeah, and speaking of that World Cup, you found an interesting article that looks at how the competition has really been straining France's relationship with Qatar.
Well, this article from the French business paper Les Echos looks at how recent declarations around the World Cup have really angered and frustrated Qatari authorities. For instance, several French cities announced that they would not host fan zones during the World Cup in sort of as a boycott of Qatar's abysmal record on human rights. But also last week, Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne said she would not be heading to support Les Bleus at the World Cup, a declaration seen as a boycott in itself and really very humiliating for Qatari authorities. For some analysts cited by the paper Les Echos today, they say it's also a missed opportunity for diplomacy. Qatar and France are very closely tied, and Europe has reached out to Qatar for its gas needs in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So the World Cup could have been a good opportunity to sort of lay the groundwork for these future deals. But, this World Cup is more political than ever, and repercussions, we're starting to see those repercussions of Qatar's record on human rights. This Jordanian cartoonist here, it's pretty clear that the World Cup trophy is inevitably stained with the blood of those nameless workers who've died in the preparations for this competition.
Yeah, it has been certainly hard to get excited about this year's World Cup, given all of that. Deepti, we're moving on now to a story you found in the Washington Post. An officiant in Utah, one of the most conservative states in the U.S., has been conducting legal Zoom marriages for gay couples all around the world.
Yeah, it's a very improbable story, I guess you could say. Utah County Office has been conducting these virtual ceremonies since the pandemic. They've attracted, notably, hundreds of same-sex couples from countries like China, the Philippines, and Russia, where gay marriage is not legal. So basically, these gay marriages are not recognized in their home countries, but they are legal in the U.S. now. One Chinese couple in particular started dating in their home province of Chongqing, China. They married over Zoom via this celebrant from the Utah County 3 days ago. It's quite a paradox for one of the most conservative states in the U.S., which is dominated by Mormons and their faith, which is prominently or notably opposed to same-sex marriage. The celebrant is available to anyone, anywhere in the world, for the very modest sum of about $35, Alison.
Yeah, seems like a good deal. Maybe other officiants will get in on the action as well. And finally, from you, Deepti, a new show about the beloved children's icon, Barney the Dinosaur. We all know them well, reveals some pretty disturbing things about the purple dinosaur, who it seems was actually hated by adults as much as he was beloved by children.
That's right. I'll leave you to read this full article in the British Daily, The Independent today. But this new docuseries about Barney the Dinosaur looks at the spectacular rise and fall of this 90s kids icon. The hate generated for Barney was even likened to the early beginnings of internet bashing. And The Independent says this new show, this new docu-series really reveals some startling revelations. The guy, for instance, who played Barney the Dinosaur is a tantric energy healer and sex therapist who had to sign a contract promising not to talk about Tantra while being associated with Barney the Dinosaur. We also learned that one of the first websites ever to exist had Barney die in its web address. And I bet you didn't even know this, Allison. Well, I certainly didn't. The Pentagon reportedly used Barney music as a torture device, forcing prisoners to listen to the saccharine theme song for 24 hours straight. That does sound like torture.
It does. I haven't thought about that theme song in years, and now, Deepti, thank you. I'm going to have it in my head the rest of the day. Deepti with today's press review. Thank you very much.